Part 10. She Always Loves to Sleep. Author, Guy and Faye. Chapter 92. Chapter 92, A Fate. I'm afraid you haven't figured out the situation yet, huh? Ji Yunchu walked up to the man with a sneer on his lips. With a slightly frightened look in his eyes, he raised his foot and kicked his head horizontally, hitting his head on the ground. Now, you are the fish and meat, and I am the swordsman. Who gave you the courage to say such things? Boss. Damn it, you witch, let go of the boss. It's too much to bully others. When other people saw the man being treated with such humiliation, they immediately became angry and tried desperately to struggle. But they had no choice but because the effect of the silver needle was too strong and there was nothing they could do. You can only watch the man's head being stepped on by Ji Yunchu, humiliating him arbitrarily. Their eyes were all scarlet, and their eyes were like knives shooting at Ji Yunchu. Ji Yunchu didn't care and just said to the man at his feet, "So, do you understand? This is the base of my ghost doctor regardless of whether what you say is true or not, even if someone does break in, as long as I am here, you can't even think of stepping foot here." Ji Yunchu lowered his head and met the man's eyes. His murderous intent was evident and he said word by word, "Trespassing on my property is a choice between death and life. Choose one." As she said that, she kicked the man away. The man's thick body suddenly hit a tree 10 meters away like a kite with its string broken. His body slid down heavily, and his internal organs received a strong impact. The man spat out a mouthful of blood and donated blood. "Boss." Ji Yunchu ignored the cries and howls of the people behind him and just walked straight towards Allah. "They didn't do anything to you, right?" Era shook his head. Ji Yunchu raised the corner of his mouth slightly, patted her head and said, "Go back, I'm here." The scene that follows is not suitable for children to be present. Era nodded, turned around and walked into the depths of the woods. Ji Yunchu twisted his neck and relaxed his muscles. "Hold your fingers together and press the phalanges to make a clicking sound. It is particularly crisp and strange in an environment so silent that only the sound of falling leaves can be heard." Since Allah left, everyone present felt that Ji Yunchu's aura had changed. "When I saw her for the first time just now, she had a reserved and calm temperament, like a young lady from an aristocratic family who was raised in a boudoir. Now, his whole body is filled with a dangerous and fierce aura. Like an unsheathed sword. Sharp, hurtful." She was smiling, the corners of her lips raised, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Ji Yunchu bit the tip of his tongue and said, "Ah, now it's time to deal with you." The frivolous tone made them feel the killing intent so strong that they wanted to surrender. Cold sweat broke out from his forehead, across his cheeks, and dripped into the ground. At this moment, they deeply realized the danger of ghost doctors. They were extremely regretful about how they had such ridiculous ideas just now. "Ghost, Mr. Ghost Doctor, I'm sorry. It's our fault. We shouldn't have trespassed on your territory." The man who was seriously injured and vomiting blood took a deep breath and spoke with his last strength. They were wrong. They should not underestimate the power of ghost doctors. Although the rumors are not completely true, there is still some truth. Perhaps they shouldn't mess with her. Don't talk about completing the mission now. As long as they are afraid of saving their own lives, it is all delusional. At this point, we can only use the final trump card. The man gritted his teeth and said to Ji Yunchu, "Master Ghost Doctor, we are all members of the blood-killing mercenary group. I hope you can spare us for the sake of our leader." Blood-killing. Ji Yunchu touched his chin, recalling the name. "Oh, you are that old man's people." Ji Yunchu suddenly remembered the information about this mercenary group. The man was overjoyed when he saw this, thinking he had a chance. "Yes, Mr. Ghost Doctor, our leader said that he still has a relationship with you. Do you think you can?" When the others heard this, their eyes instantly lit up. They knew that the boss must have a way. just when they thought they were about to escape disaster. Ji Yunshu suddenly chuckled. They looked at her in surprise, not knowing why. Ji Yunshu's lips curled up into a smile, and he looked at these people lightly, his eyes full of coldness. The leader of your family does have a relationship with me, Ji Yunshu said. It's just that, his side wants to kill me. Looking at their desperate eyes, Ji Yunshu murmured, so, how should I deal with you? End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 93. Chapter 93. The more you know, the more trouble you will have. The shadows of the trees are moving slightly and the wind is rustling. Ji Yunshu looked at the people in front of him with a half smile. Sweat broke out constantly, and his face looked gloomy. This. Their eyes were all dull, obviously they did not expect this result. Ji Yunshu chuckled, raised his hands lightly, and inserted a few silver needles into his body. In the blink of an eye, this group of people died before they even had time to say the last words. Eyes widened, eyes wide open. Suddenly, corpses scattered on the ground made a creepy sizzling sound. The skin and flesh began to rot, and unknown liquid continued to gush out from the body surface. In a few breaths, the body had turned into a pool of blood. There is still light rain falling in the sky, and it is submerged into the soil and mixed with blood and water. The air was filled with the nauseating smell of blood. Ji Yunshu waved his hand and wrinkled his nose. I thought this medicine is quite effective, but it's just the smell. She should try to improve it. How can such an invisible and necessary medicine emit such a strong smell? It is simply telling others that you have killed someone. Well, although Tong Tong has good talent, the potion he makes is not good enough. With these thoughts in mind, Ji Yunshu opened the door and looked up into Tong Tong's blue eyes. Senior sister, how are those people doing? He spoke awkwardly and lowered his head in shame. Even a girl like Allah can face those people. And he, a manly man, actually fled back in fear. It's so embarrassing. What's more, how could he leave God alone there? Although it was God who asked him to come back to find his senior sister. But leaving a girl behind and running away. Tong Tong felt that he was no longer worthy of being seen by others. It's time to fertilize the flowers, Ji Yunshu said lightly. Oh, that's how it is. Tong Tong was a little depressed and was still reviewing his ungentlemanly behavior. Are they dead? Compared to Tong Tong, Li Tingzi was obviously a little shocked. They've all been delivered to the door. If I don't kill them, wouldn't I lose face? Li Tingzi frowned, a look of worry appeared in his eagle eyes. They are members of Organization H. If you kill them like this, I'm afraid they will cause trouble. Ji Yunshu was stunned. Are you worried about me? Li Tingzi nodded, you are my savior. So it's unjustifiable to be in trouble because of him, right? Ji Yunshu chuckled and said, you are not as cold-faced as you appear on the surface. The first time you looked at me, tisk, that look in your eyes turned into ice. Li Tingzi fell silent. He is a major general after all, and he always has to be a little dignified to control his subordinates. Just after opening your eyes, it is also a normal instinct to be alert at all times when the environment is unclear. Where is it like? She said. Don't worry, I have issues with the people from Organization H, and you don't think you're causing trouble for me, Ji Yunshu said. Celebrating the holidays. They robbed me of a herb. Who can medicine from the ghost doctor? Li Tingzi asked, then what? Ji Yunshu raised his lips and chuckled, then I will let them all stay here. Stay here. There is no other end besides being used as flower fertilizer. By the way, why are you being hunted by people from Organization H? Ji Yunshu suddenly asked. She thought for a while and was a little puzzled. Although they smuggled arms, they didn't do anything extraordinary in the empire. Moreover, the leader of Organization H has always been afraid of the empire, and usually avoids people from the empire whenever possible. Chasing the Imperial Major General? Is he crazy or tired of living? It doesn't look like his style at all. Could it be? Ji Yunshu turned to look at Li Tingzi. What terrible secret does this guy know? That's why they killed people and silenced them. Li Ting was startled, then lowered his eyes and remained silent. Seeing this, Ji Yunshu also knew that most of the time he would not be able to ask any questions, so he waved his hand and said, "That's all. I know that military secrets should not be told to anyone, right?" Li Tingzi's expression did not change, but Ji Yunshu took him as his acquiescence. "Well, you should take good care of yourself." Ji Yunshu sighed. Since he couldn't say it, he shouldn't say it. She didn't want to know anyway. The more you know, the more trouble you will have. I'm sorry, I just realized now that there was only one update yesterday. I will never admit that I was typing in bed and fell asleep while typing. Also, why was my book rated down? Please give me a 5-star review, dear. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 94. Chapter 94 Birthday Party. At night, the moonlight is dim. The lights inside and outside the Chi family's old house are brightly lit, and it is particularly lively compared to the previous deserted state. The faint fragrance of flowers in the yard is refreshing. The moment you step into this place, unconsciously, the fatigue from the day has been relieved a lot. There is an open-air bar not far away, allowing people to relax while enjoying the night view. The guests are all people who have close contacts with the Chi family. This time they received an invitation from Mr. Chi to come to the banquet. Today is the birthday party of the fourth young lady of the Chi family. It is not big, but it is still luxurious. Fully demonstrates the status and wealth of the Chi family. These celebrities, wealthy businessmen, and big shots often seen on TV gathered together to talk and laugh, and exchange glasses of wine. Some friends and classmates invited by Chi Mao Yi were shocked and speechless. You can only look blankly at these big guys who can make the imperial capital tremble by just stamping their feet. In the past, they only knew that the Chi family was a top wealthy family, but they did not know that it turned out to be such a top-tier family. This, how can little shrimps like them survive among all the big guys? Bedroom on the second floor. Chi Mao Yi pressed her forehead and looked at the jewelry on the dressing table and the luxurious dresses hanging next to her with a headache. She now feels extremely that her parents are a trap. This birthday party is clearly meant to torment her. Miss Fourth, the time is almost up, hurry up and change into your dress, otherwise the guests below will have to wait in a hurry, said the stylist waiting on the side. Miss Fourth has been sitting here in a daze for 3 hours. And there was a touch of sadness on his face, as if he was unhappy. The stylist shook his head to get rid of the unrealistic thoughts in his mind. Today is Miss Fourth's birthday. The old man and the old lady invited so many people to celebrate her. How could they not be happy? Is Aiju here? The stylist thought carefully and finally understood that the Aiju mentioned by Chi Mao Yi was Liju. She said, "Not yet, but it should be soon." Chi Mao Yi curled her lips, a little dissatisfied. Aiju is used to being late. She turned her head, looked at the shining golden dresses, and lay on the dressing table in despair. He put his arms around his Lian and said in a low voice, "You can get one if you want. Don't go too far." The stylist nodded. As the Chi family's royal stylist, she has long known the dressing style of everyone in the Chi family. For example, Chi Mao Yi doesn't like clothes that are too ostentatious and luxurious. The stylist picked through the clothes racks and finally found the right one, urging Chi Mao Yi to change it. Chi Mao Yi can only be like a rag doll, at the mercy of others. When she was struggling to survive, she suddenly remembered the true purpose of this birthday party. He couldn't help but grit his teeth and clenched his fingers. Ajiu, Ajiu, I have sacrificed myself like this for you and my third brother. If you disappoint me. He. Chi Maui narrowed her eyes with a dangerous look. Then just wait until I come to ask for your life. On the suburban road, an eye-catching silver supercar was speeding along. The surrounding scenery is quiet, and charming. The car window was half open, and a slender arm was exposed. The cuffs were half rolled up, revealing delicate porcelain white skin. The wind blew in through the window and raised her black hair. A few strands of broken hair clung restlessly to her face, and her stunning side face was undoubtedly that of Liju. She looked down at the time. 3 minutes late. That girl Chi Maui will definitely make trouble to her later. But there's nothing we can do about it. Who asked the fourth child's car to arrive from abroad today? Liju hasn't raced a car for a long time. Although I often drive Chi Jinkai to and from places recently, it is always at a slow pace. I really don't know how she endured it. As a person who loves to drive cars like airplanes. In the past few days, she was just like riding an electric bike. Finally got a new car, so I couldn't help myself and went for a few spins. As a result, I almost forgot Chi Maui's birthday party. Liju clenched the steering wheel, turned a corner, and let out a light sneer. That girl Chi Maui, isn't it just her birthday? As for such a big deal of trouble? Even though I know she hates excitement the most, I still have to ask her to come. Liju stretched out her slender fingers to push the sunglasses on the bridge of her nose, and glanced sideways at the box on the passenger seat. Chi Maui's favorite shortbread. If you use this as an apology, you shouldn't blame her for being late, right? End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 95. Chapter 95, Come Here to Blow the Wind? Miss Chi, you are so beautiful today. Thanks. Happy birthday, Chi family girl. Thank you, uncle. Why Wei, happy birthday to you. Thank you all. Chi Maui is beautiful and elegant in a water blue dress. Her small face is lightly painted with pink and white, making her extraordinarily radiant. She had a faint smile on her lips and greeted the guests politely. After this lap, she felt her cheeks were a little sore. His face was frozen in laughter. Chi Maui smiled on her face, but felt sorry in her heart. I regretted countless times why I agreed to host this birthday party. She quietly glanced at Mr. Chi and Mrs. Chi, who were still talking to their old friends, and decided to run away. Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. Chi Maui put down the champagne in her hand and apologized to the person opposite. Before the man could say anything, he picked up his skirt and turned around to leave. At first glance, she looked like she was running away. Chi Maui ran all the way to the second-floor terrace, took a deep breath of fresh air, and stared at the night sky in a daze. The night is low and vast, like ink stains. There are no dark clouds in the sky, and the stars are twinkling and dazzling. Such beautiful scenery is rare in Daijing, where the air quality is not good all year round. Chi Maui was a little distracted. At this moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from behind her and put it on her shoulder quietly. Chi Maui took a breath and her heart skipped a beat. He turned around suddenly, and a stunning face came into view. Chi Maui immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Ajiu, are you going to scare me to death? Liju took off her sunglasses and chuckled, why did the birthday girl come here to blow the wind? Don't mention it, I'm going to be tricked to death by you. Liju raised her eyebrows in surprise, what does it have to do with her? What do you mean? Chi Maui snorted and blurted out, it's not because of you and third brother. The last two words were automatically silenced and Liju did not hear them. What? Chi Maui was depressed, it's nothing. If Aegio knew what his parents were planning. I will definitely be off. Your birthday party is full of big shots. Look, who in the imperial capital can still have such a grand event and not be happy? Others are so anxious that she actually comes here to be depressed. Chi Mao Yi muttered in a low voice, I just don't like being looked at like a monkey. Li Ju twitched the corner of her mouth, then raised her finger and flicked her smooth forehead. What nonsense are you talking about? A monkey? Have you ever said that about yourself? Li Ju handed the box in his hand to her. Here, I bought it on the way here. It's my apology for being late. Chi Mao Yi hummed, you want to apologize just for this? You are so beautiful. Li Ju raised his eyebrows, stretched out his hand, and opened the box. Suddenly, a familiar fragrance penetrated Chi Mao Yi's nose. Her eyes suddenly lit up, she stepped forward to smell it, and asked, the rose shortcake from Haizai. Her favorite. Li Ju nodded. Chi Mao Yi subconsciously touched her belly. She hadn't eaten anything yet, so she was really hungry, and the taste of this shortbread was really tempting. She couldn't help it, so she picked up a piece and stuffed it into her mouth, her cheeks puffed up like a squirrel. Humph. Don't think that I can forgive you after eating your shortbread. You dare to be late for my birthday party. Do you still have me in your heart? Li Ju, no. Chi Mao Yi. Okay, okay, that's it. Friends are gone. Chi Mao Yi snorted and turned her head to ignore her. After Chi Mao Yi finished eating the entire box of shortbread cookies, she happened to run into the housekeeper who was looking for her. The housekeeper saw that she was still relaxing and eating, and he was almost anxious. Oh, Miss Third. Why are you here? Come down quickly, the master and his wife are waiting for you to cut the cake, and the second master and the third master are also waiting for you, they're all here. Chi Mao Yi waved her hand, I know, I'll go down right away. She turned to look at Li Ju, Aegio, come down with me. Int. Li Ju refused indifferently. She came here today to celebrate her birthday and didn't want to deal with other people in the Chi family. Chi Mao Yi pulled her away and said, come on down. I'll give you the first piece of cake later. Li Ju was alone, but he was dragged by Chi Mao Yi until he staggered to his feet. Wait a moment. Chi Mao Yi turned around and said, what's wrong? Li Ju took out a pack of tissues and threw it to her, saying, first wipe the residue from your mouth. Please give me a 5-star review, dear. I really can't afford to be hurt if my rating drops. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 96. Chapter 96 Second brother and second sister-in-law. Chi Mao Yi's mouth twitched, she took the tissue and wiped it randomly, then pulled Li Ju away. Wai Wei, come quickly. MRSG waved to Chi Mao Yi. In front of her was a huge cake. Hearing this, the guests around him all focused their attention. Then he saw Li Ju following Chi Mao Yi. Li Ju was not wearing a dress or makeup. She was wearing a loose hooded sweatshirt and tight jeans, which made her figure look particularly slim. The eyes are light in color and the temperament is restrained. The simple and plain dress is a bit unusual for the guests who are wearing suits and dresses, but it still cannot conceal their elegance. Suddenly everyone was surprised. MRSG also saw Li Ju and said in surprise, ah, Xiaju, you are here. Li Ju nodded and greeted her with a smile, Grandma Chi. MRSG also had a smile on her face. Well, Wai Wei is quite reliable in doing things. Xiaju is indeed here. Chi Mao Yi was looking at the two people in front of her in surprise at this time, and called out, second brother and second sister-in-law, are you back too? Well, I'm back. The answer was a steady male voice. Around 40 years old, wearing a decent suit, buttoned meticulously, and a pair of glasses on the bridge of his nose. He is full of bookishness, upright, calm and solemn. Qi Jingyuan, the second master of the Qi family, is a professor at the Imperial University. His eyebrows and eyes follow those of Mrs. Qi. His facial features are softer and he looks very approachable. Beside him stood his wife Zhao Yulan, also a teacher at Imperial University. She was wearing an emerald green cheongsam, intellectual and beautiful. The couple met through work, and then fell in love. After getting married, they had a son. Their deep relationship became a legend in the imperial capital. Zhao Yulan smiled gently at Qi Maoyi and said, "Wai Wei, I wish you a happy birthday." Qi Maoyi also smiled and replied, "Thank you, second sister-in-law." Zhao Yulan handed the thing in her hand to her. "This is a birthday gift for you, as well as from An Yan. He has something to do today and can't come, so he asked us to deliver it to you." Qi Maoyi accepted them one by one and said, "Okay, thank you, second sister-in-law." Somewhere. Qi Anyun was the son of the eldest son of Qi, but the Qi family's elder was weak, often suffering from illness, and passed away at a young age. Qi Anyun's mother, a police officer, unfortunately died while chasing a drug dealer. At a young age, both his parents died. Qi Jingyuan couldn't bear the loneliness of his eldest brother's son, so he took him into his lap and raised him. Therefore, Qi Anyun was very close to Qi Jingyuan's family. There is nothing wrong with asking them to help you give a gift. Qi Maoyi picked up the knife, cut a large piece of cake, put it on a plate, and handed the first piece of cake directly to Li Ju in full view of everyone. At this moment, all eyes fell on her. Li Ju. Li Ju took the cake speechlessly, thinking that he might as well find a chance to sneak away later. The eyes of these people were so hot that they wanted to poke a hole in her. Zhao Yulan said, "Wai Wei, this is..." Zhao Yulan looked at Li Ju with some confusion. "Who is this person? Why do you seem to be so close to Wai Wei? Haven't you heard of her before?" Qi Maoyi introduced her, "Second sister-in-law, this is Li Ju, my best friend." Hearing this, Zhao Yulan smiled at Li Ju and said, "Hello. Li Ju, hello, Mrs. Qi." After saying hello, Qi Maoyi said in a loud voice, Okay, let's share the cake quickly." As he said that, he picked up the knife and divided it piece by piece. Li Ju took advantage of the break when everyone was sharing the cake, quietly stepped back and looked at Qi Maoyi's figure. She was wearing an aqua blue dress with diamonds inlaid on the skirt, which shone brightly in the moonlight. She wore a birthday hat on her head, and was surrounded by people sharing cakes. She had a smile on her face, like a princess being held in high esteem by the stars. Li Ju took out his mobile phone, took a photo of the scene, and sent it to someone. And attached a sentence, "The little princess's birthday is today, where is someone's gift?" Within a few seconds, there was a reply, "Delivered." The corners of Li Ju's lips raised slightly, creating a curve. At this moment, she suddenly felt a familiar breath approaching from behind. Just as I was about to turn around, I was greeted by a light, fresh mint smell, which made me feel refreshed. A group has been created for this book. The group number is 107-307-3447. If you are interested, you can add the name of any character in the book as a stepping stone. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 97. Chapter 97. Li Ju. Li Ju raised his head and met Qi Jinkai's cold and handsome face. He was wearing a silver suit today, with a gold chain hanging on the outside of the chest pocket, and a cloud pattern embroidered on the collar. His broken hair was scattered casually, and his temperament was noble and elegant, like a prince from the medieval century. He stood there, under the bright moon and the orchids and jade trees. Chi Jinkai looked at Li Ju with his phoenix eyes, and lightly opened his thin lips. Don't you have any other clothes? Li Ju's face darkened. I can wear whatever I like. I thought you didn't have money to buy clothes. Li Ju chuckled. If I have money, can I work to pay off the debt? Qi Jing was silent. Li Ju rolled her eyes, turned around and left with the cake. If you get angry when you see this person, you should find a quiet place. Qi Jinkai stood there, staring at Li Ju's back. Third brother, what's going on? Lu Qinggran emerged from behind him and asked in surprise. He looked at Li Ju's figure and then at Qi Jinkai, his eyes widening in disbelief. You are not really having an affair with her, are you? Lu Qinggran's eyes were almost horrifying. Isn't it right, are you really having fun with her? Qi Jinkai glanced at him lightly. Who is playing? Lu Qinggran collapsed and raised her voice. Then you are serious? A domineering president and a little secretary. Qi Jinkai looked at someone with caring eyes and said coldly, put away the in your mind. Lu Qinggran, why is it just scrap? Then you and her. Normally superior and subordinate. Lu Qinggran had an expression on his face that said, who are you kidding? Obviously I don't believe it. Qi Jinkai, she is the woman 4 years ago. Lu Qinggran picked up a glass of champagne and took a sip. After hearing this, she subconsciously said, oh, it turns out she is the woman from 4 years ago. Suddenly, the sound stopped abruptly. Lu Qinggran spurted out suddenly and looked at Qi Jinkai in shock, her voice trembling. What did you just say? Did he hear it wrong? Ah. Qi Jinkai didn't say anything. He just patted the shoulder of someone who was shocked by the news and walked away. Lu Qinggran, who was left petrified, could not regain consciousness for a long time. What the hell? What am I doing? Li Ju found a deserted lawn and sat down, leaning against a pine tree behind his back. The breeze was blowing and the scent of pine was lingering. I wanted to eat the cake quietly alone, but unexpectedly Qi Jinkai also came over. Li Ju put down the fork in his hand and looked at him expressionlessly. Why is this person still lingering? Just as he was about to say something, he saw the man in front of him suddenly raised his hand and slowly unbuttoned his clothes. Li Ju's face stiffened. What are you going to do? Qi Jinkai did not answer her, but took off his suit jacket, wearing only a thin slim-fitting shirt. He laid the valuable coat directly on the ground, and then followed Li Ju's posture and sat down next to her. Li Ju twitched the corner of his mouth, understanding this man's misophobia. It's really hard to bear to sit on such a high-end suit like this. Why are you following me? Come out and get some air. Qi Jinkai put his hands on the ground, his long legs crossed casually, and his posture was casual. He added, it's so noisy over there, I'm upset. Then you have to follow me. Li Ju was speechless. Why did he have to stare at her? Qi Jinkai turned to look at her. You seem to really don't want to see me. Li Ju gave him a faint smile, the meaning in his eyes was obvious. Do you understand such an obvious fact? Qi Jinkai raised his eyebrows slightly and said, you and I usually look up but don't look down, so if you don't want to see me, there's nothing you can do about it. Li Ju. Li Ju wanted to put the cake in his hand on his face. Li Ju thought so and did the same. She stretched out her long fingers and scraped a large piece of cream from the cake. While Qi Jinkai wasn't paying attention, he quickly wiped it towards his face with lightning speed. Qi Jinkai didn't expect Li Ju's move, so he couldn't dodge it and hit the target. Qi Jinkai. Li Ju. The atmosphere suddenly became stagnant. One did not expect to be tricked, and the other did not expect to be tricked. The next second, Li Ju secretly screamed. Sure enough, Qi Jinkai's handsome face darkened visibly to the naked eye, black as the bottom of a pot and covered with dark clouds. The aura around his body suddenly changed, it was cold and dangerous, and his murderous intention seemed to be real. There seemed to be an undercurrent surging in his eyes, and his voice seemed to have been tempered by ice as he paused word by word, Li Ju. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 98. Chapter 98. Dad, Mom, Mr. Li. Li Ju's heart is broken. Qi Jinkai's mysophobia was as bad as a turtle's hair. It's something bad now. The next moment, he immediately put one hand on the ground, jumped 3 meters away, turned around and wanted to escape. However, it was of no use. There was a sound of piercing the air behind her, and a fist as heavy as 1,000 caddies struck her. Li Ju tilted his head and barely escaped. Qi Jinkai, however, followed closely and blocked her way with a long leg. Looking at the cream on this man's face, Li Juxian smiled and said, "Third master, I didn't mean it." Qi Jinkai didn't listen to her words, his eyes were cold and stern, and he took action directly. The smile on Li Ju's face froze and he immediately got out of the way. Before she could say anything else, Qi Jinkai clenched his right hand into a fist and struck her straight. Li Ju's pupils shrank suddenly, and she subconsciously raised her arms to block her body. Bump! Li Ju shook his sore arm. I secretly thought that this man was really strong. The two of them started fighting each other back and forth. At first, because of a guilty conscience, Li Ju just blocked and did not fight back. But gradually, she was provoked to fight by Qi Jinkai. I have to say that Qi Jinkai is a very strong opponent. 4 years ago, she was able to succeed in the assassination mostly because Qi Jinkai was injured. Otherwise, it's not certain who will win if he and she confront each other. Both of them are absolutely strong, and they have always been in a state of being in a state where the king does not see the king, and they have not been able to have a good fight. Li Ju will certainly not miss such a good opportunity now. So, she gradually became serious, and the movements of her hands became more and more fierce. 2 clear muffled hums sounded. The two people took a few steps back at the same time. Li Ju kicked Qi Jinkai in the chest. Qi Jinkai also punched Li Ju on the left shoulder. Li Ju rubbed her shoulders and narrowed her eyes at him. This man really doesn't distinguish between men and women when he moves his hands, his moves are ruthless and he has hidden power. Qi Jinkai also looked at Li Ju solemnly. This woman's skills are really weird. She strikes decisively and decisively without any sloppiness. This man is so strong. The same thought flashed through their minds at the same time. Jing Yi, who had just returned from vacation, looked at him in the distance and couldn't help but ask, "Do you think we should go up and help?" Jing Yi, I want to help you. Jing Yi shuddered when he saw the two people's comparable skills and the scene where their fists collided. Forget it, forget it. These two big guys were fighting. If he went up, he might be killed immediately. Jing 2, strange. Jing 1, what's wrong? Jing this Miss Li is so strong. She can actually hold on to her master for so long without suffering any losses. Have you never heard of this strength before? Jing wow. Jing Ji, you actually said so many words. Jing 2. This man is hopeless. Li Ju narrowed his eyes and decided to strike first. She rushed towards Qi Jinkai with a speed like a ghost, sweeping her long legs to attack him. Qi Jinkai also raised his legs to resist. The calves collided, causing the bones to go numb. Li Ju turned around and kicked to the side. This time, Qi Jinkai raised his hand and grabbed her slender ankle, pulling her back hard. Li Ju's whole body fell directly towards him due to inertia. Qi Jinkai let go of his hand, grabbed her wrist, pushed her upwards, and pinned her to the tree. The distance between the two people suddenly became closer. Due to the movement just now, Qi Jinkai's breathing was a little rapid. The warm breath sprayed around Li Ju, making her feel slightly uncomfortable. Unwilling to be restrained, Li Ju narrowed his eyes, smashed the jar, and slammed forward. Chi Jinkai didn't expect her move, so he loosened his grip on her slightly. Li Ju just bumped into his chest. Please. Chi Jinkai staggered, lost his balance, and was pressed to the ground by Li Ju. The air suddenly became quiet. The scenery in the distance made me stunned. Li Ju lay on Chi Jinkai's body in a daze, feeling the strong beating of the man's heart beneath him. Obviously, he did not expect this to be the case. Chi Jinkai only wore a thin shirt. The smooth fabric was blown by the wind and became cool, but the man's body temperature was boiling hot. The two of them were close to each other, their breaths intertwined, and a strange and unfamiliar feeling spread. Chi Jinkai narrowed his eyes slightly and moved his hand towards Li Ju's back, slowly moving upward, trying to strangle the back of her neck. However, Li Ju noticed him and pressed his arm with his hand to stop his next move. At the same time, he bent his elbows and put them against his throat. The two of them were in a stalemate. Suddenly, several intense white lights swept towards them. Li Ju narrowed his eyes in discomfort. Immediately I heard a crisp sound of something falling to the ground. The two of them looked at each other at the same time. Then he saw the mobile phone in Chi Mao Yi's hand falling to the ground and looking at them stiffly. Li Ju. Chi Jinkai. Li Ju just wanted to say something, please listen to my explanation. Chi Mao Yi raised her hand to stop her and stared at them with a complicated expression. Then she slowly turned her head and shouted faintly behind her, Dad, Mom, Mr. Li. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfe. Chapter 99. Chapter 99. Where did Xiaju go? Chi Mao Yi finished dividing the cake. When she turned around, there was no trace of Li Ju anywhere. He frowned slightly, and just when he was about to look for it, his phone vibrated slightly. Snake Essence Disease, Happy Birthday. Just 4 words, not even a single punctuation mark. This shows how reluctant that person was to type this sentence. Chi Mao Yi bit her lip and replied, please bear with me. Ded by, you're welcome, the gift has been given, remember to accept it. Chi Mao Yi rolled her eyes and ignored him. Since I know that I have prepared a birthday gift for her, why can't I come back and say happy birthday in person? Who cares about his gift? Why way? MRSG suddenly called her, but she didn't reply. What's the matter, Mom? MRSG said, Mr. Li is here, come with me to greet him. Chi Mao Yi was confused, huh? Why did Mr. Li come suddenly? Aju didn't say anything either. However, before she could figure it out, she was dragged away by MRSG. Mr. Li was dressed in a tang suit. He was neatly dressed and there was nothing wrong with him. He was very energetic. Although his legs and feet are not very convenient and he uses a cane, his steps are very steady, which shows that he still had some skills when he was young. Ha ha ha, Lao Chi, long time no see. As soon as Mr. Li entered the door, he burst into laughter when he saw Mr. Chi, and the wrinkles on his face opened as he laughed. Mr. Chi snorted coldly, you still know how to come to see me. I invited you to play chess before, but you refused to come after many objections. How come you can do it today? It was a rainy day, so it was hard for me to go out, brother, don't be angry, can I compensate you? Mr. Li raised his hand, and the bodyguard behind him immediately handed over a box. This is the newly acquired Longjing, would you like to have a pot together? Mr. Chi has always been a tea lover. When he heard this, his eyes drifted away unconsciously. He coughed lightly and motioned to MRSG to accept it. Mr. Li added, I heard that today is your little daughter's birthday? I don't have anything to give you. This is a pair of jade bracelets that a Chen brought back from abroad. I'll give it to you as a birthday present. Chi Mao Yi, who was following MRSG, was flattered and quickly answered, thank you, Mr. Li. Mr. Li smiled and said, you're welcome, I haven't seen you for a long time. She is getting more and more beautiful as she grows older. Chi Mao Yi lowered her head shyly. She was praised like this by her elders in front of others, and no matter how thick-skinned she was, she couldn't help it. Mr. Chi made a gesture and walked in with Mr. Li. I heard what you said just now. Ah Shen is back, Mr. Chi asked. Well, I came back not long ago. You won't leave again this time, right? Mr. Li sighed. Who knows, I can't say for sure. Mr. Chi also paused and said, those bad things in your family, forget it, you can figure it out. What can I do? Let them be. Mr. Li sighed in a low voice, with a feeling of helplessness in his words. Chi Mao Yi was a little confused as she listened to the two elders playing dumb. What are they talking about? Why can't she understand a word? Just when she was puzzled, Mr. Li suddenly asked her, is Xiaju here too today? Chi Mao Yi, ah. Yes, Aju is here too. Then where is she? Mr. Li had already walked to the courtyard used for banquets at this time. He glanced around and did not see Liju. Chi Mao Yi was also surprised. She was still there when the cake was distributed, but she disappeared as soon as she turned around. I was looking for her too. Mr. Li frowned. Where did this girl Xiaju go? This is the Chi family. What if I run around and get into trouble? Chi Mao Yi saw Lu Qingran in the crowd with sharp eyes, and quickly ran over to pull him over, and asked, Lu Qingran, did you see Aju just now? Lu Qingran was a little confused. She was suddenly pulled away by Chi Mao Yi, and her head was still a little confused. When he raised his head, he saw Mr. Li again, and he suddenly reacted and said, oh, I think I saw her just going there. As he spoke, he raised his hand and pointed in a direction. So, a group of people came over in a mighty manner. What they didn't expect was that as soon as they came over, they saw Li Ju and Qi Jinkai, disheveled and behaving intimately, lying together. Chi Mao Yi. Lu Qingran. Other people. Chi Mao Yi's hand holding the phone trembled slightly, she couldn't hold it steady and dropped it to the ground. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 100. Chapter 100. Made a move. She turned her head stiffly and looked at Mr. Li. As expected, I met Mr. Li's livid face. It is particularly scary under the light of a flashlight. Mr. Li's face turned dark, and he said angrily to the two people on the ground, what are you doing? The sound was rich and powerful, deafening, as if it could penetrate the clouds. It can be seen that he was very angry. Li Ju. Qi Jinkai. The two people looked at each other and stood up quickly. Li Ju patted the dust on himself, his head was buzzing and he was in chaos. Who will tell her why Mr. Li suddenly appeared here? And you brought such a large group of people with you? Li Ju was a little embarrassed. Grandpa, why are you here? Mr. Li didn't know what to say anymore. He stretched out his hand tremblingly and asked sadly, you? What were you doing just now? Li Ju's eyes were wandering and she felt guilty. I didn't do anything, I just had a fight. Hearing this, Chi Mao Yi interrupted and asked, are the fairies fighting? Li Ju. Qi Jinkai. Mr. Li. Everyone. Li Ju stared at Chi Mao Yi with itchy teeth. She wants to tear her mouth apart. It's not chaotic enough, is it? Mr. Li almost couldn't breathe. Fortunately, Mr. Chi next to him gave him a hand. Mr. Chi narrowed his eyes and looked at Li Ju and Qi Jinkai. Li Ju's clothes were messy and full of wrinkles. His white forehead was covered with fine sweat, and his hair stuck to his face casually. It can be said that there is no image at all. Chi Jinkai was even worse. He was pinned down by Li Ju. His flawless white shirt was already stained, and the buttons on his collar had just been torn off. The neckline is slightly open, revealing the porcelain white collarbone, giving it a rather evil and feel. Looking like someone has just been ravaged. These two people are really ignorant of propriety. How is it appropriate to let others see you? Mr. Chi snorted coldly and said, "You two, follow me to the living room. This is really not the place to talk." Living room. Mr. Li sat on the sofa and looked at the two juniors in front of him with a cold expression. The atmosphere is somewhat serious. Mr. Chi next to him didn't look very good looking, but he was still calm. Others still looked like they were wandering in the sky, unable to recover. Especially Lu Qinggran. He never expected that he would be stimulated so much tonight. First there was Li Ju, the woman from 4 years ago. Then again, I witnessed the scene where Chi Jinkai was pinned down by Li Ju. He felt a little starry-eyed. The only person present who was in a very happy mood was Mrs. Chi. Compared with the shock of others, she was very satisfied with what she saw. Mrs. Chi looked at Li Ju lovingly and tenderly, as if she were looking at her daughter-in-law. Looks like the birthday party was really organized right. Look at the progress. A group of people with different thoughts, all displayed on their faces. Only the two protagonists, Li Ju and Chi Jinkai, still look indifferent. Mr. Li took a deep breath and tried to make his tone calmer. "Xiaju, what's going on? You and Xiasai." Mr. Li looked at Chi Jinkai complicatedly. This child can be regarded as someone he has seen since childhood. The son of an old friend, he has been a child of someone else's family since he was a child. He is excellent in all aspects. Although his temper is a bit cold, this child's ability, character, and appearance are really hard to say. What he didn't expect was that one day he would actually get involved with his granddaughter. And it seems that he personally sent his granddaughter to him. When he thought of this, Mr. Li felt very sad. It seemed as if the juicy cabbage from my own house had been sent directly to the pig's chopping board. Seeing that Mr. Li's eyes were getting more and more strange, Li Ju immediately interrupted him, "Grandpa. It's not what you think." "What's that like?" Li Ju rubbed his temples with a headache, trying to get rid of the matter, so he said, "Third master and I, no, third uncle, we just want to try our respective skills." "What?" Mrs. suddenly looked at Chi Jinkai and said angrily, "Lao-san. Did you and Xiaju start a fight?" "I." Chi Jinkai was about to explain, but Mrs. slapped her hand on the coffee table, completely ignoring her gentle image. "You are a grown man, and you actually start a fight with a girl, how shameless are you?" End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfe. Chapter 101. Chapter 101. What a coincidence. Xiaju still calls you uncle according to your seniority. Is this how you bully your juniors? Chi Jinkai. Where is your usual self-control? Huh? How can you attack a delicate girl like Xiaju? Chi Jinkai. Chi Mao Ei. One of them couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. Mrs. immediately turned her angry gaze towards her. Chi Mao Ei quickly lowered her head and avoided sight. But I couldn't stop laughing in my heart. A delicate girl? Forgive her, she really didn't see what this word had to do with Li Ju. Mr. Chi clenched his fist, put it to his lips, coughed lightly, and said, "Okay, Hanking, calm down." Mrs. then noticed that she was a little out of sorts. She quickly sat down, showed an apologetic smile to everyone, and said, "Sorry, I am also annoyed by this bastard." "It's okay," Mr. Li said. He still knows a little about Mrs.'s temper. This is all expected. The juniors who had never seen Mrs. getting angry were shocked for a moment. After what she said, Mr. Li temporarily forgot what he wanted to say. That He looked at Li Ju and asked, "So you mean, this is an accident?" Li Ju nodded. "Then what's going on with Xiao Xi's clothes?" "They all saw it just now." Qi Jinkai was wearing a thin shirt and lying next to Li Ju. The suit jacket was thrown on the ground. A man and a woman alone, with disheveled clothes. How can you not want to be crooked? Qi Jinkai suddenly coughed and explained, "That's what I put on the ground to sit on." Mr. Li pondered for a moment and said, "It seems that there is a real misunderstanding." Li Ju and Qi Jinkai breathed a sigh of relief at the same time, thinking that the matter was finally over. Unexpectedly, Mr. Li suddenly sneered and said, "You think I am easy to fool, old man? What are you two doing there when you have nothing to do?" "Li Ju, I think the yard is too noisy and I want to find a quiet place." "Qi Jinkai, I also want to take a breath." "If that's the case, why are we fighting?" Li Ju said, "Grandpa, didn't I say that my third uncle wanted to?" Before he finished speaking, Mr. Li took him over. "Want to try your skills?" Li Ju nodded. Mr. Li snorted coldly, "Come on, with your three-legged cat skills, how can Xiao Ci be interested?" Li Ju. "You are really my grandfather." Qi Jinkai said, "Mr. Li, her skills are actually, not bad." Li Ju glanced at him. "Well enough?" "Ah." But she still echoed, "Yes, yes. What else can we do?" She said she actually disliked Qi Jinkai and wanted to beat him up. Say these words, Mr. Li will definitely be angry to death. Mr. Qi, who was silent on the side, narrowed his eyes and watched the two people singing in harmony, and suddenly an idea came to his mind. "Tell me the truth, are you, in a relationship?" Li Ju choked. She raised her head and looked at Mr. Li in disbelief. "Grandpa Qi, why do you have such dangerous thoughts?" Qi Jinkai was also shocked for a moment, a look of surprise flashed in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure and explained, "Dad, you are overthinking. Am I thinking more or are you doing more?" Mr. Qi placed the teacup in his hand heavily on the coffee table. "First of all, you two didn't stay in the yard, but ran to a deserted place." Qi Jinkai opened his mouth and wanted to defend, but was stopped by Mr. Qi. "If you want peace and quiet, the Qi family is so big, where can you go? You want to stay together. Second, Xiaju, you said that you and Lao San just wanted to try their skills, but from what I know about him." Mr. Qi glanced at Qi Jinkai and continued, with his kind of temper, how could he be so bored as to compete with others? In the past, he would have ignored her. Qi Jinkai lowered his eyes and said nothing. Third, the scene we just saw, don't call it a coincidence. How could two people lie together so coincidentally during a fight? Or in such an intimate posture? Li Ju covered his face. "Whether you believe it or not. What a coincidence." End of this chapter.